You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered. And this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't gonna be that fun. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Glad to have you. Just in a minute after the break, we're going to dig back into the series on I've Learned That. You know, we've done this a little bit over the summer. I told you we're going to have some throughout the summer. We're going to talk about I've Learned That, and we even had Matt Whitaker join in on the stuff that we've learned. And we got some great podcasts here that we would love to have do these kind of things, because it's amazing what you do learn as you grow older, and as you just life experience means something. And I think this is lost many times in today's generation. So today we've got some more I Learned That. These are going to, I think, really go into some issues that maybe you've dealt with, maybe not. But anyway, after the break, it's I've Learned That here on the Doug Collins Podcast. Hey, everybody, you know about Legacy Precious Metals. Legacy Precious Metals, you hear from them. We talk once a month. We talk about Legacy Precious Metals, talking about precious metals being part of your portfolio, how they're your navigator. Well, now they're not only navigating in a new way, they're actually giving you a new way to buy gold and silver. In fact, Legacy Precious Metals has developed a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in real gold and silver online. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped to your door. I'm more of a ship to my door kind of person. I enjoy having them with me, but they can do it either way, and you can now do it online. It gives you real access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time, anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar. This puts you in complete control of your money. This platform is free to sign up for. Just visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and is against a volatile stock market. A true diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but a different asset class. This platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Remember, do as I have done. Go to legacypminvestments.com and get started today. And now you've got a new tool to help you along in your investments. Hey everybody, it's MyPillow's 20th year anniversary, and over 80 million MyPillows have been sold. Mike Lindell and MyPillow wants to thank each of you and every one of you for giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. You will receive a queen-size MyPillow for $19.98. Regular price is $69.98, and just $10 more for a king size. You will receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products, such as bed sheets, mattress toppers, pet beds, mattresses, my slippers, and so much more. This is a time to try out something other than the amazing products that you've had your eye on. Go to mypillow.com, click on the radio podcast square, and use the promo Collins, Collins, to receive this amazing offer on the queen size MyPillow for $19.98, or call 800-986-3994. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. You know how I know that? Because I sleep on a MyPillow every night. Go to mypillow.com and use promo code Collins, Collins, or call 800-986-3994 today. All right. As I promised, I've learned that is a series that just sort of appealed to my heart. I found this old list and a book that I had that when I was back pastoring from a number of years ago. It's got you can tell where it was copied, and it's got creases in it, and things like that. I'm just an old history kind of buff anyway, and I love to see old papers. I love to see things in the written original, and it puts context in folks. And I think today, one of the big issues we have is we've taken things so far out of context that we actually just sort of miss the purpose of them. And what I mean by that is, look, you can study how terrible slavery was and talk about all aspects of slavery, and it not, and we take it for the era that it was in. You can look and say that there were great movies that may have things in it today that we've grown and evolved to say this wasn't, isn't right, but they are still reflective of the era that they were in. They're reflective of history. And I know this is not what a lot of people want to hear, but it is true. You can't just simply erase what you don't like. this has been the, sort of the story forever as far as raising kids and, and traumatic issues that come up in your life is what happens, to things that, frankly, just don't go right. I mean, do you just simply write them out of your life because they wasn't perfect, that they didn't happen in the way you thought they should? These are the kind of things that I often think about. And, I think as we grow, we've learned that, so to speak, into the sense that, I've learned that is a analogy for all of us to say, look, there's things that we can learn. There are things that, when we find out that they teach us things that earlier in life, we may have had one opinion that now we can change and we see things clearer. And I know that's hard for a lot of people because especially things we're going to talk about today, you want to hold on to, you want to keep there with you. And this is just, again, in our society today, we've talked more and more about what it is to us and how we feel and what it is that we want, that many times we overlook the other side of the relationships, and that's other people. So today, not a long one today. I just wanted to give you a few. This was some fun ones, but also some ones to make you think. This is one that every parent struggles with, and every coach or teacher or mentor struggles with, especially if they work with kids. And it is, and I've learned that you should never tell a child their dreams are unlikely or outlandish. A few things are more humiliating, and what a tragedy it would be if they believed it. Think about that one for a second. Now, look, you don't want to be, there's a fine balance between a child dreaming and telling them that they will never accomplish anything. Or no, not, a child comes in and says, they're 6 years old, I'm going to be an NFL player. Okay, well, I mean, I've seen, coaches or parents say, oh, you'll never make it. Well, they may not. In fact, the percentage of professional athletes is less than 1% of all who start out, in any kind of all our youth sports across the country. I think it's even far less than 1% actually make it to the pros. But does that mean that a 6-year-old kid that you wanted to tell them that they can't have that dream? Or if you tell a young girl, she says she wants to be president of the United States, well, go for it. Again, why is it so many times we believe that reality has to come in to these kids' lives at a young age? Now, being truthful with them, like if they're playing basketball or baseball and they're not getting, they're not that good, do you say, well, here's some things you got to do to get better. Right now, you're not going to, play at the next level, much less play in the pros if you don't work on these things. And that's constructive. That's something that gives people something to build on. What is so disheartening to me is to see people from different neighborhoods, ethnic backgrounds, or others that are told you can't become X, whatever that dream may be, a business person, lawyer, doctor, astronaut, computer programmer, whatever it may be, just simply because of where they're from, their background, their parents' background, or where they're at some point. How many people and things would we be missing in the world if we were told, if kids believed all the time what adults told them? Look, we'd never had Michael Jordan. Let's think about this. The greatest player who ever played basketball. And I'm not getting into the LeBron and other discussion. It's Michael Jordan. And, looking at what he did and being told, in middle school and high school that he wasn't going to make a team. I mean, think what the world he would have missed if he had believed, well, my coach said I couldn't do it, so I'm not going to do it. Early on, Einstein was thought not to be smart. I mean, there's just example after example after example of people who are told things, because so many times adults, and again, I want to go at adults here for a little bit. The thing we got to be encouraging is dreams. I remember when, it was, especially when you look back, and I look back on my childhood, I've said this before, I'm a child of the late 60s and 70s, growing up in those, from birth to 12, 13 years old. By 14, I was turning in the 80s, which changed a different. But back then, we had the moon landings. We had, all this stuff going on. There was this idea of you could go places, you could travel. Books, that took me from a little bedroom in Gainesville, Georgia, all over the world, because I would read and I would listen and I'd watch TV and I'd watch movies and that's the dreams. And for a kid who had a state trooper father and a mom who worked with senior adults who loved me dearly, but we didn't have all the breaks of, quote, the kids on the other side of the track, so to speak. But to grow up and think I can be in a member of Congress, I can be a lawyer, I can be those things because I can get out and work for it, I think is one of the things that we're missing in society today. And we sort of peg and pigeonhole people into places, and we do it sometimes with our closest friends and our closest family members. And sometimes it's jealousy. Sometimes we look at this and we tell them, even when they get older, oh, you can't do that. Why are you going to apply for that job? And the reason we sometimes want to poo-poo their good ideas is because we could do it ourselves and we just never have. And we get jealous that they may succeed and we don't. So as we look at this, time frame, my question is for many of us is do we have the opportunity to share with others what we've been given, not necessarily, or maybe what we didn't try, but also look at it from a perspective of saying, let's be encouragers. And I think that's what the world lacks so much today is people just not being encouragers. They don't get encouragement. Imagine how the world would be if we were more encouraging of people's dreams. Now, look, yeah, I was a kid who wanted to think, oh, I can play football, I can go to college, and I can go basketball, and I can do all this. And you know what really determined the fact that I knew that wasn't going to happen? Me. It necessarily wasn't the people around me saying, oh, no, you can. And, and I'm sure they had their doubts. But as you grow older, as you grow up, you do realize you have limitations. And certain things in life are not going to happen the way you thought they were. It's much better to have somebody encourage you to try and to actually try and it not go their way and they find that out for themselves than to have somebody arbitrarily say, no, it's not going to happen. I think the best thing we can do for people is encourage them in their dreams, encourage them in their hopes, and encourage them in their life so that they will try to be all that they can be. Sometimes, the old saying is, shoot for the stars and sometimes you'll end up on the moon. I mean, amazing things happen when you just put your mind to it. So the first thing you do, and I've learned that, is don't tell anybody, and not just a child, but don't tell anybody that their dreams are foolish. Help them find ways to fulfill those dreams. And if it's not going to be, they'll be one of the first to find out as we go. Another one is that I've learned that heroes are people who do what it has to be done when it needs to be done, regardless of the consequences. I know that's a real open-ended definition of a hero. But if you think about it, have we stigmatized heroes? I mean, is a hero a guy who or a gal who can throw a baseball or shoot a basketball or run or kick is the only, how many times do we throw hero around in the term of sports? Is that a hero? Maybe it's somebody we look up to, maybe it's somebody we admire, but is that truly a hero? But yet we see it all the time with hero worship. They won 3 Super Bowls, they won, 2 Cy Youngs, whatever it is. And the reality is in this, I've learned, it really made me think about the fact that real heroes are the ones who get up and do it anyway, no matter what goes on. And this may sound, sappy, corny, whatever you want, but it's the mom and dad who get up and go to work, take care of their family, take care of each other, love each other with what they have, no matter what it's like outside, no matter how bad they felt that morning. They said, I don't want to go to work today. I'd rather, I don't want a family day. I'd rather leave. I'd rather, go do other things. These are all things that, people choose. And the real heroes, and we go to our policemen and our firemen and our military who choose to do things that most people do not want to do. Those are the ones that are the heroes. And I think it's not that we downgrade. I'm trying to downgrade, sports figures. I think those are all great idols to have. Those are great, in a sense of somebody to look up to, and especially if they uphold, that value and of work and hard work and talking about, encouragement of others. But I think we miss the everyday heroes in life. The people who have maybe disabilities, who still get up and go to work every day, who actually make the most of the life that they've been given, even though they may not walk like you and I do. They may not talk like you and I do. They may have issues processing information. Those are the real heroes. They keep on going. They have, I've met so many people who have disabilities, whether it be physical or mental disabilities, who absolutely have the best attitudes in life. Because they do what they can do. They excel in what they can do. And they do it very well. And for some of us who have every opportunity and benefits in life, we don't. We make other choices. We don't have to work as hard. We don't have to do those things. It's those kind of heroes. It's the mom, the single mom who keeps on going and helps get her kids through school and get them to college. It's the single dad who does the same thing. It's the mom and dad who stay together, who raise a family, who love each other. It's the family units it's the grandparents who take in grandkids and help raise them when something's gone wrong with their nuclear family, or others who take in kids. It's the teacher who goes the extra minute and the extra mile to help somebody, a kid who's having trouble in school, or a college professor, or a high school teacher, or a high school coach. It is those who do what they do, and they know it needs to be done, and they're not concerned about the consequences. Even if it means they're going to be late to something, even if it means, from a military perspective, or a law enforcement perspective, or a fireman's perspective, it means they may lose their life to save somebody else. But that's what they're there for. I've learned that the older I've gotten in life, the heroes in life are the ones who do it anyway, regardless of the consequences, regardless of the fame, regardless of the glory. Those are the ones who uphold what we have dear in this country. Want to turn to a couple here that we have. And one of those is not just our heroes not telling dreams, but I hear this a lot. And especially, when you see it in young people, you see it in older people as well. It says, no, I've learned that no matter how bad your heart is broken, the world does not stop for your grief. I can remember as a pastor doing funerals, and there's a difference in doing funerals and being a part of a funeral from a family or close loved one perspective. Now, as a pastor, you're close to members. You many of my members that I had funeral services for were very painful because they were friends. They were people that I had grown to know. I'd prayed with them. I had been with them. I had laughed with them. I'd cried with them. Some of them I'd actually been there when they drew their last breath. And those were difficult. But it's also amazing to me that having your heart broke, and whether it's in a death, and I remember when my mom died, and I remember riding from the funeral home to the graveside, and everybody else was riding around in the car. Some of them would stop. Most of them did. We still live in a town in which they do that. But I watched around. Everybody else was going on with life. And for me, it was one of the hardest days of my life to, bury my mother. And the reality is a lot of things in life and grief are private, and they will be private. And the rest of the world will continue on their path of getting everything done, just like you do on any given day when somebody else is going through grief. Now, also for relationships, again, we want everybody to focus on us. And, if we got a broken heart, we've had something happen, pay attention to me. And that's okay that they don't, because the truth and reality is it's all turnabout for all of us. There'll be times when they're going through grief and pain that we go on with what we're doing, and we don't acknowledge it, either because we don't know about it or we don't take the time to acknowledge it. And that is what I think makes the need for human interaction to those close to us even more important. That grief actually is something that we can look into and be a part of and feel as a group and a family. But even when the rest of the world doesn't stop for your grief. And that doesn't mean you don't grieve. It doesn't mean that you don't have those moments in time in which you have, the tears come. It just means that you simply are in a position in which you realize that your grief is there. And my hope would be, and it's been in my life, is that it would make me more sensitive to others in their time of grief. And maybe that's the lesson, is that if it happens to us, the world doesn't stop, and we really wish it would. But maybe when somebody else is going through it, maybe we can help by stopping our world for a minute and being a part to them. Maybe that's what like the hero does, as we talked about earlier, that definition of hero. Maybe it's taking an extra 5 minutes at the water cooler. Maybe it's taking an extra 5 minutes to pick up the phone and call and ask how somebody's doing, or text them. Those are the kind of things that we bring from our own experience that we can bring into the lives of others. The last one is very applicable for this show. Many times here on the Doug Collins podcast, and we talk about different perspectives and different people. And that is two people can look at the exact same thing and see something totally different. And it's okay. Okay. I can't tell you how frustrating it is for people that I meet all the time that believe that their position is the only right position. Now, I may agree with them 99% of the time, but 1% of the time, I'm not going to agree with them. And to think that we all have to look at the same picture, the same painting, the same situation, the same set of facts, and believe the exact same thing is ludicrous. And yet today, one of the concerns I have in our society is that we're losing this very item right here. We're losing our ability to look at things from two different perspectives. And the media and our social constructs and social media and others are really moving us away from actually investigating and finding out for ourselves what we believe. In fact, they're molding us in the sense we've seen the censorship, whether it be on COVID, whether it be on the elections or anything else, that if you don't believe like I do, then you're wrong. And the realization is the older I've gotten in life, the more I've learned that two people can look at the same situation and look at it very differently. It doesn't mean that both are right. Now, I'm going to say that. It doesn't mean both are right. They may be right in their own perception, but one may be right, so to speak, and one may be wrong, but it still doesn't mean that other person doesn't have that outlook or that ability or that function in our society to say, hey, look, I disagree. Disagreement is not a bad thing. Folks, we've got to get out of this idea that simply because I'm on the right and you're on the left, that you're evil and wicked no matter which side you're on. Look, I can believe some of the things that I disagree with are wrong morally. I mean, I believe this is amazing to me. Recently there was a vote in Ohio to not move the constitutional amendment standard from a 50% or simple majority threshold to 60% of the vote to change the state constitution in Ohio. And the reason the left was wanting to do that is so that they could codify abortion. I've never seen people so excited about the ability to then kill the unborn. But yet that's their position. And I think that is morally wrong. And we have to fight out about that. But again, it is still an issue that we need to have conversation on, because I have found the more that people become aware of that issue, if we just simply went back in our corners and called each other names, instead of those of us who are on the side of pro-life, instead of trying to say, hey, this is a child, this is what can happen, there are resources available, let's give life the chance here and not the easy choice of ending life, then I see more people's lives being impacted by that. But again, to simply say that there's a bipartisan, bicameral, bilateral choice, however you want to say it, that one thing is always right, one thing is always wrong, no matter if it's the same thing and two people agree or disagree about it, that's the problem that we have. So, folks, as we look at these issues today and things that I've learned, I hope we take this going into this election cycle. I disagree many times with Joe Biden, but I also understand that the left looks at things in a different lens than I do. Does that mean that I have to stop talking to them? Does it mean that I have to stop communicating? Does it mean we have to stop having civil dialogue? No. In fact, if anything, it means we need to have more. Not to simply say that you're going to change my mind or I'm going to change your mind, but maybe we can find common ground in two people's differentiating views on the same issue, in the same fact pattern, and find a way that we can come together in a country that for 200 plus years has done that over and over again. We have found ways to overcome our differences. And this really concerns me more than anything else. If we're still taking this path in society that we cannot find agreement on some things, not all things, but some things, then we're going to continue to spiral as a country. And that concerns me more than anything. That's what I've learned. What about you? Go to the DougCollinsPodcast.com, hit that email button, let me know what you think, ideas that you have for maybe lessons that you've learned. Love to hear those as well. But for that, and for now, that's it, the Doug Collins Podcast. We'll see you next time.